Hello everybody, and thank you all for joining me. If you're new here, my name is Vanita, and I really appreciate you stopping by. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for hanging out with me once again. You all, I am so excited about today's project, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and let you know what what materials that I'm going to be using. Now, as far as the yarn goes, all of the yarn is 100% acrylic, okay? The red is Red Heart, and it's called With Love. It's Red Heart with Love, and the color is called Holly Berry. Now, the yellow, unfortunately, I lost the label to this, but I know that it's 100% acrylic, and it's a yellow, it's just a yellow. I'm not sure what brand that is, though. Now, the green is Hobby Lobby, and it's called Jelly Bean. It's Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. That's what that's called. And then the black, they labeled it just black, and it's Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn also. All right, so that takes care of the yarn. Now I will be using a 5.5mm crochet hook and a 4.5mm crochet hook. All right, so I'm going to be using both of those for this project. And then also I will be using a darning needle, and I'll be using stitch markers. Now, whatever you decide to use, make sure it's something that will not come out your project, okay? So, I'm going to be using these stitch markers, okay? So, because you're going to be moving your project around quite a bit. You will need measuring tape, and also a pair of scissors or snips, and straight pins, all right? Now, the stitches that I'll be using, I will be doing the single crochet, double crochet, and half double crochet and slip stitch. Those are the only stitches that we'll be using for this project. This project is very simple, you all. So, don't worry, it's simple. However, I am going to open a group chat in my Facebook group, LadyVkreations, and it's going to be dedicated just to this project so that we can all help each other out with it, okay? So I am going to list down in the description box the tutorials for the stitches that I'm using. That'll be in the description box of this video. And also, I'll have the Facebook group listed in the description box as well. I do recommend that you watch this video from start to finish before you begin to follow along with me, all right? So just make sure you watch the entire video and then gather all your materials and follow along. That's pretty much everything that I want to tell you all about the, tutorial before we get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take two very basic measurements. Nothing intimidating, nothing hard. I do recommend, if you plan on wearing a strapless bra with this, or whatever you plan on wearing with it, I recommend you putting your bra on. If you don't plan on wearing a bra at all, then take your bra off. But, that way you're going to get the most accurate measurements, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure for the length. All right, so where you want your top to start and where you want it to end, you're just going to write that number down. So you want it to start there, end there. For this, I have 8 inches, so I'll write that 8 inches down for the length. All right, now we're going to measure her bust. You're just going to go around your back, and you're just going to measure right around there. Oops, I have it a little tight. I'm sorry. I did a little bit too much there. All right. So, and then it starts slipping on me. All right, so, and then once I measured around, now I have 35 inches for her. Is it up a little bit? All right, that's about perfect. So I have 35 inches for her bust. All right, once you measure around and you get that number, you're going to subtract 5. So for her, it was 35. I'm going to take away 5 inches, and I'm going to write down 30 inches for her width. That's it. And the reason I subtracted 5 is because acrylic stretches. And once we sew this together in the back, you'll notice that it's gonna stretch. So make sure you don't forget to subtract 5 inches from whatever your number is. Now that we've gotten our measurements, we're gonna go right on over and start making our top. The first thing you want to do is you're going to take your base color of your yarn and your measuring tape, and you're going to chain the length of your project. Now, for my project, we know that I had 8 inches for the length. So I'm going to make a chain 8 inches long. And of course, I don't know how many I'm going to be chaining. I just know that I need this chain to be 8 inches. All right, so I'm going to chain some here. And when I think I'm around 8 inches, I'll stop and measure it. If I have too many, then I'll take a couple out. And then if I don't have enough, I'll just add a couple just to get me to that 8 inches. All right. All right, so let me see, maybe 1 or 2 more. All right, so let me stop there. So I'm going to measure that. Now, make sure you don't measure that tail. All right, so you start there. And as we can see, I am still about 1 inch short because I got to get up to 8 inches. So I'm going to chain a couple more. 1, 2, 3. So let's see. I just chained a couple. Well, I chained 3 more actually. So let's see. All right. So it looks like I need to do 1 more. Well, actually, I'm quite there. I'm okay with that, I think. Yeah, I'm at the 8 inches. All right, because it's right there. So I'm at my 8 inches. Make sure you don't stretch your chain or anything, okay? All right, so now that you've gotten your chain, the length of your work, you're going to chain 2. All right, so I have an 8-inch chain, and I'm going to chain 2. All right, so 1, 2. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. This loop on my hook does not count as anything. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a half double crochet there. All right, so now I'm just going to put half double crochets all the way down this chain. So I'll put 1 half double crochet stitch all the way down. And once I finish that, you all, I am going to come back and let you all see. So let me go ahead and finish putting these half double crochets, and I'll be right back with you all. All right, so I'm back after doing all of my half double crochet stitches. I'm just going to do this very last one. All right, so I've made it to the end of that, putting all my half double crochet stitches in. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and measure this one more time. I just want to make sure that it is not, no less than 8 inches. All right, so let's see. All right, yep, I'm right there at my 8 inches. It's a little bit longer because of the chain 2. All right, so the next thing you want to do once you've done that is you want to count your stitches. This is very important, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and count mine. So that's my first stitch right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So I have 27 stitches. So what you want to do with that is you're going to write that number down because it's very important. All right, so I wrote mine down. All right, so now once you do that, you're going to chain 2. All right, so we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to turn your work. All right, now we're starting a new row. All right, so you're going to put a half double crochet in that first stitch because remember that's your chain 2. So I'm just going to put a half double crochet stitch in that first one. And just like before, I'm going to go all the way down this row, putting half double crochet stitches in each stitch all the way down. All right, and then once I get to the end, I will chain 2 again, turn my work, and put half double crochet stitches. And each one of my rows, that's what I'm going to do. All right, now, after you've done about 5 rows, I recommend you stopping at the end of the row once you finished it and count and make sure that you have the amount of stitches that you wrote down. All right, and then moving forward, you're going to make enough rows to get you to the width that your project is supposed to be. In my instance, it is 30 inches. So I'm going to chain enough rows to get me, because I got to go this way. So I'll chain enough rows to get me all the way to 30 inches. All right. Now, once you do that, then I'll, let you all know what you're going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and start working on my rows. When I get about halfway through, I will come back and show you all what my project looks like before I get all the way up to 30 inches. So I'll meet you all back here. All right, guys, so I'm just checking back in with you all. I'm a little over half finished with making the width of the project. I have, I just wanted to let you all see what that's looking like. All right, and I have went ahead and counted my stitches several times, and I still have 27 stitches all the way across. And I just wanted to just let you know that, try to maintain your tension throughout the whole project. I know sometimes we put our work down, we pick it back up, but, you do want to try to keep the same tension and make sure you stay on that stitch count as well. So mine's is measuring, I think it's like 18 inches. I can't really get everything in frame here, but yeah, I'm like at 18 inches there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making my, getting up to my 30 inches in width, and I will check back in with you all in just a little bit. Okay, guys, so I have finished making the width of my project. So once you finish that, all you have to do is just take it and wrap it around you. All right, now you may want to stretch it out a little bit, and then just take it and wrap it around you and make sure that it fits all the way around you. Now, even though this is going to be the back of your project, you just want to see if it goes around you. All right, and once you have that, after that, we are going to stitch this together. So make sure you do not cut your yarn once you finish making the width, crochet into the width that you need to. Also, I do want to let you know that once we stitch this together, you're going to try it on again, because oftentimes once you stitch it together, it gets even a little bit more looser. So you may even have to take out a couple of rows of the width that you made. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all how to stitch this together. All right, so in order to seam your work together, what you're going to do is you're going to fold your work over. Now, both of your sides are going to look the same. However, if there's one side that you like more than the other one, then that is going to go on the inside, okay? For me, this is my least favorite side because I had to add some yarn, so that's going to be on the outside, and this is going to be on the inside of my fold. So I'm just going to fold that together, and then you're going to take your ends, and you're just going to match them up as perfectly as you can, okay? All right, now you just want to pin them. So you match them up, and then you just want to pin those ends. All right, so just go on down and just pin. And just be careful with those pins. Now, if you have the clips that I showed earlier, you can use those. But most people have the pins, so I decided to just use these to show you all. All right, so now I have everything pinned together. So next, I'm just going to take my work, and I'm just going to turn it, because in crochet, we work from right to left. All right, so this is where we are now. Now, remember, we had to do a chain in the beginning, so that's the chain, and then this the half double crochet side. So now we're just going to close this up. We're going to do a row of single crochets. So you're just going to go in that first chain space, and then go into your first half double crochet stitch. That's it right there, actually. And then you just want to do a single crochet. All right, and you're just going to do this all the way down your work. All right, just go all the way down. And putting one stitch in each just to combine these. One right there, and then right there. And just close it up and do your single crochet stitch to close those. Remove your pins when you get to them. All right. That's what you're going to be looking like as you work, okay? That's what it's going to look like. And then if you just take a peek at the other side, that's what that's going to look like, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and finish mine. I'm going to go all the way down, and then I'm going to catch back up with you all once I get here. All right, guys, so I've gotten to the very end here. I'm going to go ahead and put these last 2 single crochet stitches in with you guys. All right, I should take that pin out. All right, so now that I've gotten to the end, and that's what it looks like all the way down. Now you can count them if you want, you know, but you can just turn it over and look at it. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to turn it over and look at it. And if it looks good, it's fine, you know. So let's see. All right, guys. And that is what it looks like. And you can barely even see where we seamed it together. Yeah, so I like that. That works out. So next thing you want to do is try it on again. All right, so let's go ahead and try it on. For the sake of not wanting to make this video super long, I went ahead and slipped it on her. It looks really good on her. I'm going to turn it around and let you all see what it looks like in the back. All right, so that is the back of it. It looks good. Now, for some reason, if yours is a little big, just, you know, take the seam out that you made. Take however many rows out that you need, and then just seam it back up and try it on again until you get it just the size exactly how you want it. So now I'm going to show you all what we need to do next. All right, so now that you have made sure that you got your sizing correct and everything, you're going to turn your work on the right side, the side that you're going to want showing when you're wearing it. And then you're going to chain 2. And then I need you to just put 1 double crochet stitch all the way around the top of your work. So at the end of each of your rows, you'll put 1 double crochet stitch, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more with you all. All right, so you'll just be putting, if you can see that, so you'll just be putting 1 double crochet stitch across the top of each, at the end of each row. All right, so you're going to do that all the way across the top of your work. I am going to go ahead and go around the top of mine, and when I get back, when I get right here, I'll meet you all back. All right, so I've made it back around. I'm just going to put in this last double crochet stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch at the top of that chain 2 to close the row. All right, so with this one, I'm actually going to put in a stitch marker right here, and I'll show you what that stitch marker is going to be for in just a moment. But the first thing you're going to want to do after you finish with that row is just look over your work, make sure that you didn't skip any double crochet stitches, and make sure that you know, you didn't put too many. Make sure you didn't crowd your spaces out. You don't have to necessarily count and make sure. If you want to, that's fine, but you just want to make sure it looks good and make sure that you didn't crowd the end of your rows out and that you didn't skip any. All right, so as long as that looks good, you're good. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the circumference of your arm. So go ahead and take your measuring tape and just measure around your upper arm, and you know that's the part above your elbow, and get your circumference. And you're going to write that number down. And then once you get that number, you're going to divide it by 2 and write that number down. Now for my work, I am going to be, this is a small to extra small, so I'm going to assume that the arm would be about 6 inches around. And so I am going to write down the 6 inches and then divide it by 2, and that's going to give me 3 inches. So I'll write that down as well. Once you get that number, you're going to come over and you're going to measure on both sides of your work. So on this side, once I measure and get the 3 inches, I'm going to put my stitch marker right there at that 3-inch mark. All right. And then once I do that, make sure I have that correct. So you have 3 inches. Then I'm going to go on the other side and put a stitch marker right directly across from that. All right. And then you'll go down to the other side of your work. and you're gonna measure. So I do have my measuring tape upside down, but that's not a problem. So that's 3 inches there. So I'll put my stitch marker right there, and then I'm gonna put one directly on the other side. All right, so now we just measured for our arm opening, okay? All right, so once you are done with that, you're going to take your work and you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then just put a single crochet stitch right there in that first double crochet. And then you're just going to put 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch until you get to your first stitch marker for your arm opening. And I'm going to go ahead and put mine in, and I'll come back and show you all what we'll do once we get here. All right, so I have did my single crochets and made it to my first stitch marker. So I'm going to put a single crochet stitch in that same one with my stitch marker. All right, now you're going to make a chain the length of your circumference for your arm. So the circumference for the arm, for mine, it was 6 inches. So I'm going to make a chain of 6 inches. Not the one that you divided now, the actual circumference. So mine was 6 inches. So I'm just making a chain, and I'm going to measure this chain in just a second once I think I've gotten about 6 inches. All right, so let's see what I am. Don't stretch it out or anything. You want to make sure it's, just laying there. Don't stretch it or anything. All right, so now I have gotten, I'm about 4 inches, so I need to chain 2 more inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see. I should be around 6 inches at this point. I'm just trying to make that straight. Oh, I still need a little bit more. And if you chain too many, you can definitely take, some out. But you want to make your chain the length of your circumference. All right. So starting there. So, yep, I am at 6 inches now. All right. So now once you do that, you've chained enough. You would need to count them now. All right. So I'm going to count my chain spaces and see how many chains I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So I have 23 chains. So I'm going to write that number down, because when I get to the other side, I won't have to measure it. I'll just do a chain of 23. So once you get that, you're going to go over to your next stitch marker, and you're going to put a single crochet, holding your work on your hook, and just put a single crochet with that chain on there. All right. And then after you do that, now make sure you keep your stitch markers in. Now you're just going to go in to that next double crochet and put a single crochet stitch. All right. And then you're just going to go all the way around putting single crochets until you get to this next space. Once you get to that next side, you'll chain your length, and you will have wrote down the number that you have. So I'm going to chain, once I get here, I'm going to chain 23, and then, excuse me, then I'll get over here and I'll connect with a single crochet, just like I did over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you all back here. All right, so I've made it back around to the end of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to close this row. All right, so once you have finished that row, you have made your arm spaces, your opening for your arms, right? So the next thing you want to do is you're going to want to try your work on, all right? So you're going to make sure that these chains for your arms, you're going to make sure that they hang where you want them to. If they're hanging too much and drooping too low, then you're going to want to take that row out and remove a couple of those chains. If it's too snug, then you'll take the row out and then add a couple more chains. Just make sure you put it on both sides. All right, so once you have gotten that, corrected, you make sure that it fit well, then you're going to come back And, you know, go ahead and put the row back in if you had to take it out. And next you're going to chain 2. All right, and then you're going to put 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch all the way around. All right, so 1, 2. So you're going to put 2 in each stitch all the way around. And once you get to your chain spaces for your arms, make sure that you put 2 in each space, and make sure that it doesn't twist on you as you're doing it. So make sure it stays in, you know, on the right side as you work. And then you'll just go all the way around putting 2 in each space. So I'm going to go ahead and do mine, and then I'll meet you all back at the end of the row. All right, so I am back after putting 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch all the way around. So I'm just going to slip stitch to close this row. All right, and this is what your work should be looking like. If you notice, your last row is going to want to lean towards you a little bit, and then you're going to get a little bit of curling, and that is because you have 2 stitches in each stitch. But it shouldn't be much, just a little, okay? All right, so next we are going to be making our granny squares. All right, so for your granny squares, you want to go ahead and gather all your yarn up, all of your colors, and then you want to switch to a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. And then go ahead and get your scissors and your snips, whichever one you're using. And then I am going to start off by doing a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then just go into your first chain and do a slip stitch. So go into that chain, and then you just want to hold your finger right there and yarn over and just slip straight across, just like that. All right, so now I'm going to chain 3 again. All right, now that's going to serve as your first double crochet, and then I'm just going to go right into that space that we're holding open and put 2 more double crochets. Now I am going to crochet over this tail. 1 and 2. All right, so that is your first set of double crochets. So now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, because we're making our corner space. And then we're going to make 3 more double crochets, so another set of doubles. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now you'll chain 2 again. Whenever you're making corner spaces, you'll chain 2 to make that. And then crocheting over that tail, put another set of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then I'm just going to chain 2 once again. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now we have our off 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you're just going to chain 1, and then you're going to right here at the top of that chain 3. You're going to go on both sides. And did I chain 1? Let me make sure, you all, because sometimes I forget. So yep, I did chain 1. So now you just want to chain 1, because we're going to close this round, and then right here at the top of that, you're going to go on into both sides of that, and then just slip stitch to close that row. All right, now I'm gonna yarn over, pull through, and then I'm just gonna snip this. And good, I had a little spot that was bad in the yarn, so that worked out perfectly. All right, so, oops, that was a little, sometimes the yarn comes like that. All right, so now that is your first round of your granny square. So I know that looks a little wonky, and then I'm going to go ahead and snip this, because remember we were crocheting over that, so that was good to go. So now I am going to start in a whole nother space. All right, so I'm going to, and then with another color, so I'm going to pick up my yellow, and the way I'm going to add this is I'm going to insert my crochet hook, put the yarn on the hook, bring it through, And then I'm going to hold that tail, and then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through. All right, now we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, which is going to serve as your first double crochet. And then you'll put 2 more double crochets in that same space. And I am going to crochet over this tail. 1 and 2. All right, so then this is just a side right here. All right, so we're not going to do a chain. We're going to go straight over into that next opening and put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 2 because we're going to make a corner space for this second row or this second round. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now we're back to the side, so we won't chain anything. We're going to go into that next corner, that next opening, and put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, then you're going to chain 2 because we're making a corner, and then do another set of 3 double crochets. So just remember, for every corner, you're going to chain 2, but for your sides, you're not going to chain anything at all. All right, so that's what that's going to be looking like. All right, now I'm going to, this is a side, so I'm just going to go straight over, and I'm going to put, and see, remember that that's where we started, so we're just going to go right in here and put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, oops, I'm sorry, I got out of frame, and 3, and then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and put 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now this is a side, so we're just going to go straight over and put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And in order to close this row, we're going to chain 1, and then at the top of that, chain 3. We're just going to go in both sides and put a slip stitch and just slip to close that row. Oops, it came out on me. All right, so now snip your yarn. All right, so that's your second row. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the next 2 rows and off camera, and then I'll show you all how I'm gonna close this granny square up. But just remember, for your sides, you're only gonna go straight over. You're not gonna chain anything, and you'll chain 2 to build each of your corners, okay? Just like that. And just also remember that you're gonna go into a new side every chance. You're gonna go into a new corner. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Now, your granny square only needs to have 4 rounds. So this is 1, 2. So I'm going to make 2 more rounds, but I'm going to come back and let you all see how I close my granny square up for good. All right, guys. So I have completed the last 2 rows. I just need to put those last couple of double crochet stitches in. So the way I'm going to close this, I'll go ahead and remember, I'm not going to chain anything here. So I'll put my set of 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, and then the third one. And to close the round, I'll just chain 2 instead of 1. So chain 2 on that last round, and then you're going to go in that top of that first chain 2 space, and you just slip stitch to close that row. And I do apologize that I used black to show you all that, but that's the color I had to use because of the fact that this is a Jamaican Rastafarian theme top. All right, so, and that's all you have to do, and that is your granny square. And so you just need to weave your ends in. Now, you don't want to use your main color as your last row. My main color is red, so I could have put it anywhere except my last row, because we're also going to be connecting with that main color. So, and also, I did want to let you know that even if you decide to use another granny square pattern other than what I did here today, I do recommend you going down to that 4.5mm crochet hook, because it's going to make a neater granny square, and it's going to make a little bit smaller granny square, and that's something you want because your top is a crop top. So next, I'm going to show you all how we're going to arrange these, or at least how we're going to decide on what size or how many granny squares we're going to need. So I'm going to show you all that next. All right, so now that you've finished making your granny squares, I do recommend you going ahead and weaving your ends in. To me, it just makes it easier. So you might want to go ahead and do that. And then the next thing you're going to do is take your granny squares and you're going to pin them all around your work, okay? And that's what I've done here. You're going to pin them all around, and that is going to show you if you have enough granny squares made. So you'll just pin them all around, and when you get to the arm space here, you're going to pin that right there on that chain space for the arm. All right, so that's all you do, is just going to pin that, and that's what I'm doing here. And this is just to show you, or just to make sure that you've made enough granny squares. And they don't need to overlap. They just need to be right there, pinned on. Right. Now, once you pin yours on and you know that you have enough, then you're just going to go ahead and these don't have to, while you're pinning these on, this does not have to be in any certain order. This is just to make sure that you've made enough granny squares. All right. Then you're going to take all your pins out. And after you take your pins out, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to arrange them in the order that you want them in. All right. So now at this point, you know that you've made enough. You've pinned them. You know that this is going to fit around you. So now you're going to go ahead and take all your pins out. And you are going to arrange the granny squares in the order that you want. Now for mine, I am going to go by, you want to go by the outer edge. So I'll do the yellow outer edge, then the green, and then I'll go back in with another yellow, then a black, then a green, a yellow, because I don't want to end with a yellow. So I do a green, no, I'm sorry, a black outer edge, a green, a yellow, and a black. And so now my two outer edges are different, because when they go around you, you don't want two of the same outer edges going around. So at this point, I'll have the yellow meeting up with the black. All right, so once you arrange them, now I am going to show you how we're going to connect the granny squares. So in order to connect your granny squares, you're going to take the main color that you were using to make your project, and you're going to take a granny square, and we're going to start off in a corner space. And you know, the way that I do mine is I put my hook in, and then I just hold that in the back, and I pull through, yarn over and pull through. And now I'm just going to do a chain 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3. And then I am going to put 2 double crochet stitches, because that chain 3 will serve as a double crochet for me. 1, 2. So that's my cluster. Now I will not make another cluster in here right now. So I'm just going to go right over and put a set of 3 double crochet stitches. So basically I am just doing a round of doing another round. Oops. But I am not going to finish that round. All right. And of course, you see my nail on my thumb broke right before I started making this part of the tutorial. But that is not going to stop anything. So I'm just going in making my double crochet, my sets of double crochet stitches. So when I get to the corner here, when I get to this corner, I am going to make a complete corner though. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll chain 2 like normal. And then of course, if you were chaining 3 with yours, then you'll chain 3, or however you were doing your granny squares, you'll stick with that. All right, and then you just go over, because I know some of you all already know how to make granny squares. All right, so I'm just going into that next space. And I apologize if I'm going a little fast, but I just want to show you all how we're going to connect the granny squares, because I know that we've already went over how I make them and how you can make them. So I'm just trying to get you to the point where I show you how we're connecting the granny squares. So I'm back to another corner. So of course I'm going to do 2 clusters of double crochet stitches. And I hope that me saying clusters don't confuse anybody. Basically, it's just the sets of double crochet stitches that I make for the corners and make to put in the spaces when we do 3 double crochet stitches. All right, so that's another corner, and then I'm just going on around. 1, 2, and 3, and then again 1. And I really hope that this is not a bit much, you all, but I do want to show you how we're going to connect, and I want to show you how how we're going to leave this edge. So I definitely want to show you this. So for this corner also, I am going to leave it. So I'm just going to put 3 double crochets because I made it back down to this corner. 2 and 3. All right, so this is what you're going to do with your first granny square. You're going to leave that edge. So it's unfinished. This cluster is the one you started is unfinished, and this one is unfinished. All right, so now you're going to get your next granny square and make sure that it's facing towards you, just like this one. Make sure the correct side, the right side, is facing upwards. And you're going to go into the corner there. Oh, excuse me, my yarn wants to just hang on me. All right, so you're going to go into this corner, and you're going to, well, before you go in that corner, after you make that cluster, chain 1. All right, then you'll pick this one up, you go in this corner, and you're going to put 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now you have 3 double crochet stitches into that first granny square that you're connecting. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now. I am going to take both of these, and I'm going to turn this one towards this one. All right, so you see that they are turned towards each other. Let me make sure that you're able to see what it should look like for you. All right, so it's turned towards each other, so your clusters are towards each other. Okay, just like that. Just like that. Then you're going to take your work, and this is the one that we just did, and this is the one we're connecting, right? So I'm going to pick that up. I have my set of 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to go into this one, into this stitch right here, and I am going to put a single crochet to connect that. Just like that, okay? Then I'm going to go back over to this one, the new one, and I'm going to put another set of 3. Because remember, we started off by putting a set of 3 in the new one. So another set of 3 double crochets. All right, and then you go back over to this one, and you only have to do a single. Because remember, this side already has This side already has its edge. It already has the last round. All right, then we're going to go back over here and put three double crochet stitches. 2 and 3. And then we're going to go back to this one and only put, and just make sure you don't skip any spaces. All right, so we're only going to put that single crochet stitch in that one. So going back there, going in, all right, and putting that single, all right, oops, okay. And then going back over to this one, putting my double crochets, my set of 3. 2 and 3. All right, and then this one right here, single. The single in the space. Oops. Let me take that out and start that over again real quick. It's a little hard doing this on camera, you guys. All right. All right, so at this point, that is what you're going to have, okay? All right, that's what you're going to have. It's going to look just like that. So we are leaving these raw edges, okay? Now, the way that you're going to connect, now if you notice, I have another row right here, but this one is not, you know, that one hasn't been done. So the way I'm going to do that is, all right, so we did a single crochet stitch right here. So I'm going to put my set of 3 double crochet stitches right here. 1, oops, 2, yours not wanting to cooperate, 2, and 3. All right, so now I'm at this edge, and we know that this corner is finished on this side. So now I'm just going to go in here. Oops. All right, so now I'm just going to go in here, and I am going to do my single crochet stitch. And then now I have to finish this corner, right? So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'll put a set of 3 double crochet stitches right here. 1, 2, and 3. All right, then I'm just going to go right on over to this side and put my set of 3 double crochet stitches. 2 and 3. Okay, so that is what your edge is going to look like, okay? And you are going to go along and just connect your granny squares. You're going to have a raw edge, and you're going to connect all your granny squares. Now, I do recommend that when you're about 3 granny squares out, because you've already made all your granny squares at this point, and you've already pinned them on, so now we're connecting them. But when you have about 3 more granny squares to connect, take your work and pin it back on. Take your row of granny squares and pin them back on your work again, because us connecting them is going to give these granny squares width. It's going to give width to this part, right? So it's going to make it wider. So take that, pin it back onto your work, and see if you have enough granny squares already where you don't have to connect all of them, all right? Because you may have 1 or 2 left over. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the rest of mine, and I will come back when I am at the, after I've connected all mine, and I'll show you all what to do. But remember, you're going to stop after you connect all yours and you have this raw edge, because I need to show you what to do to get rid of this raw edge. All right, so I am back after connecting all of my granny squares. So this is what your work should be looking like all the way down. And this is the corner that I stopped at. It's not finished. And then on the other end, that's that corner as well. So what you're going to do next, we're basically just going to finish putting the border around this So you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then put 3 double crochet stitches just like before. 1, 2, grab my yarn, and 3. And so I have finished that corner space. All right, so now I am going to put 3 double crochet in here and here and in here, and I am going to show you all what I'm going to do when I get right here. I'm not going to make you all watch me do the whole thing, but I do want to show you all what to do when I get there, okay? So just bear with me while I put 3 double crochet stitches in these until I get to that space. But while I'm doing that, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do that and click like. And also you can hit the notification bell, and that way you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. All right, so I would appreciate that. So now I have gotten down to this corner space right here. So what you're going to do is, remember we're finishing the corner. So I'm going to go in here and put 3 double crochet stitches. 1. And this is pretty much like we were doing before, but I just want to, you know, go over it again just in case I confuse anybody. So now we have 3 double crochet stitches right there. So remember, it's a corner, so we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And then right here, we are going to put a single crochet stitch. And that connects that. And then we're going, now we have to finish this corner. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and put 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, I'll get my yarn, and 3. All right, so that's how that is done, and you'll do that all along your work. And when you get right here, you're going to put 3 double crochet stitches and then chain 2, and then you will close this with a slip stitch. So I'll come back and do that part with you all. All right, so I've made it to the end here, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in my last cluster of 3 double crochet stitches. That's 1, 2, and 3. All right. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Right here, I should have chain 2 and then slip stitch to close the row. Just like that, and then I just like to do it like that so I can snip that yarn. All right, and that's that. So if you have any, I'll weave that in. So if you have any ends that need to be weaved in, you'll go ahead and weave all your ends in, and this is what your work should be looking like at this point. So you have your complete border all the way around all of your granny squares. So the next thing that you're gonna do is go and get your work back out. And now this is gonna be your final pinning. So what you wanna do is just take your work and you're gonna start with the seam down the back, because that's the back of your work where the seam is. And you're going to pin your, you're going to pin your granny squares all the way around, just like you've done several times before. You're going to do it the exact same way. All right. And, of course, you're going to remember to pin it up on this chain space that we made. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pin mine on, and then I'll show you all how we're going to stitch all this together. And I'll be right back. All right, guys. So I have finished connecting all of my granny squares onto my my work. So I do want you to just be mindful and try to make sure that you you know, try to match them up evenly across from each other as much as you possibly can, because we are going to be joining them. Okay. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and remove your first pin, and you're going to put your hook in the corner space of your granny square, and the first single crochet of your work that you did to make your top. All right, then you're going to get your main color of yarn, and you're just going to loop it onto your hook, and you're going to pull through. So you're going to pull through both sides. And then the way I do it is I hold my tail in the back, and you want a decent length tail because you're going to weave over that. You're going to crochet over that. All right, so you're going to yarn over and then pull through holding that tail. And now you just want to chain one. All right, and then you're just going to do single crochet stitches to attach the two. So you're going to do the stitch for the top of your granny square and the top of your work, your top. Make sure you get your tail there, and then just do a single crochet and pull through. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to do that again. So you're going to go into your granny square, and then you're going to go into your work. Get your tail for the tail in the back, so you can, and then just yarn over. All right, so your granny square, going over to your work, getting the tail, yarn over, oops, pull through, yarn over, pull through. All right, and you're just going to do that all the way around, moving your pins as you come along. Okay, now you may not be able to match all of your stitches up absolutely, but as long as you don't have any gaps left and you don't put 2 single crochet stitches in one stitch, and you don't leave any, just try not to leave any. But mainly you just want to look at it and make sure it just looks fine to you, because they may not match up perfectly, but they should match up pretty good. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to show you all when you get to, so that's that one. So when you get to those gaps in between the clusters, you do want to try to, all right, you want to try to stay right here into these stitches up here. And then just go right across to your work and then do your single crochet. All right, so you just want to do that all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and single crochet all the way across the top of mine, and I'll just pull that, and that's what mine's look like so far. Okay, so that's what yours should be looking like. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you all back when I get to the end of this granny square. All right, so I have made it back around and finished putting all of my single crochet stitches all the way around. I did want to let you all know that whenever you get to the corners of your granny squares and you're attaching right there in that corner where the granny square has 2 chain spaces, you want to just put 1 single crochet to attach that to your work, and then go right over to that next granny square in that corner space and put 1 single crochet there, because I didn't tell you all that. So that's all you have to do for those corners. All right, once you finish attaching all of your granny squares, you're going to go right over to where you started here, and you're going to put a slip stitch right there at that first single crochet to close the row. All right, so you'll close it just like that. And then you're going to take your 2 granny squares, and you want to make sure that you match these up perfectly, okay? So if you need to pin it, you can. If you don't have to pin it, then that's fine. But you're going to match those up perfectly. And then, let me just pull my work here. You're just going to go down and do the same thing. We're just going to go in that first. Make sure you go to that first stitch right there. And then go right to that first one. And you're just going to go right in and do single crochets. Just like you just finished doing. You're just going to do single crochets to close these 2 granny squares. So make sure I show you all what I'm doing here. So let me get it up close to the camera. There you go. And just make sure that you match this up as perfectly as possible. Just like that. And just go all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting my single crochet stitches into 1 single crochet into to close these up. And then once I finish and get down to the very bottom, I'll come right back, okay? All right, so I am at the very end of the granny squares. I'm just going to go ahead and put a single crochet stitch to close in the corner space to close this. And then that is it. So after that, you just want to go ahead and snip your work. And we are done. All right, so that is it. This is what your work should be looking like if you're following along with me. All right, now I did decide to put this single crochet stitch down the back. I hope you all are happy with that. If you choose to, if you're not crazy about this stitch, then you can turn it over on the other side and stitch down the back. I was not crazy about that. I don't care for the way that looks, so I decided to do a single crochet all the way down because I felt like it looked similar to the joining of the granny squares. And this is the back of my work also. So this is what the front looks like. All right, so that is the finished product, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed just hanging out with me and working along with me for this granny square crop top. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click like, and click the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload another video. And you all, please do not forget to join my Facebook group, LadyVkreations, because I will be opening a group chat up just for this top so that we can go in that group chat and we can help each other out. If you have any questions, we can all just, talk about it and work everything out. Thank you all once again for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. You all have a wonderful day, and I will see you for the next video. Bye.